I'm Sergeant First Class King, and this is Sergeant First Class Babbitt. Today, Sergeant First Class Babbitt is going to demonstrate for you how to put the ASIP radio into operation. He's going to show you how to load 3 frequencies and then call higher within 5 minutes and conduct a radio check using one of those frequencies.
All right, Rangers, so on test day, you're going to have the same exact setup as I have here. All right, what you're going to have in front of you is your ASIP radio, a battery for your ASIP radio, the cover for your battery on the ASIP radio, an antenna, and a hand mic, as well as a piece of paper that lists 3 settings in which you need to configure your radio to be able to call higher utilizing one of those channels. All right, so there's no real sequential order on how to put the radio together. I'm just going to give you a method that I think is pretty efficient and works for me. All right, so first thing I like to do is take the battery and I like to insert it into the back of the radio. What you're going to want to do is make sure that the notches on the ASIP battery itself line up with the connector on the ASIP. All right, as you can see, if I had it turned around, you're not going to be able to plug this thing in. All right, so make sure that these two are lined up properly. All right, now to connect it, you're simply just going to put the connector over top of the port on the battery and push down. At that point, that's connected. Next, you're going to take your cover for your battery and you're going to slip it on there. Okay, once you think you got it nice and good and snug on there, just give it a nice tug and make sure that it's on there real well. Next thing I like to do is turn my radio to load. All right, the reason I like to do that is because you're going to get this screen here that says wait, and it's going to tell you to wait for upwards of 30 seconds, all of which time you could be continuing to put your radio together, which may save you, a lot of time on the back end. All right, so while it's waiting, just go ahead and start putting your antenna on. All right, the antenna is very self-explanatory. It just simply screws in, get it nice and tight. You want a nice tight connection, give it a little tug to ensure that it's tight. All right, the next thing you're going to do is install your hand mic. Now, on the radio itself, the male end of the connector has notches, all right, and the female end on the actual hand mic itself has divots that fit into those notches. So what you're going to do is stick it over top, and you're going to turn it just slightly until you feel those divots line up. And when you do feel them line up, you're going to give it inward pressure, you're going to push down, and then you're going to turn it clockwise. That's going to lock that hand mic in there. All right, at that point, you know that that is ready to go. And at this point, my radio is not on the wait screen anymore, and it's ready to start accepting the settings that I need to fill into it. All right, so on my paper, the first setting that I need to do is put it on channel 1. So I'm going to hit the bottom left button, which is menu clear, until I get to channel. It says channel 1. All right, you can manipulate this by just pressing any one of these buttons. I want it on channel 1, so that's exactly what we're going to put it on, channel 1. Next thing we need to do is set the frequency. The way we're going to do that is by hitting the top right button, which says frequency. Then we're going to hit the bottom left button for menu clear. Now we'll actually enter our frequency in, 81000. After we've entered our frequency in, we're going to hit the button stow. After that, we're going to make sure we're on single channel plain text. All right, so mode, it could be single channel, the way you change that if it was on something else. You got frequency hop, you've got all these other settings. What we want is single channel, so SC. Okay, now that it's on SC, I'm going to move on until we get to our ComSec, which we need on plain text. Again, to change this setting, you're just going to hit the button number 7 for change. Sorry, here we go. And that would change it to ciphertext, and it'll cycle through all the settings. What we want is plain text. So now we're on plain text. Finally, not finally, but we want our power level to high. So we're just going to hit menu clear. Until we get to high, we're going to hit the 7 button until we get to high. So you see how that works? You hit menu clear, and then you just cycle through the settings utilizing the change button, which is number 7. So we want high. I have it on high. And now we want to switch to our volume. The way we switch to our volume is, again, we hit the bottom left button, the menu clear. Okay. Till we get to volume, which our volume is at 5. We want it at 8. So we're just going to hit the 8 key. At this point, we've got everything loaded the way we want. We're going to turn our radio to on. Okay, as you can see, we're on the correct frequency, we're on the correct channel, we're on single channel plain text, our power level is high, our volume is 8. You would do that exact same thing for all 3 settings, at which point your ranger instructor is going to tell you which setting to call in to him on, and that's the setting you'll choose, and you'll send a radio check.